a part of this race though, which is a bit of a bugger. Let me see. Is the stream live again? I have got no idea. You're going to have to forgive me here, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm trying to balance just everything a little bit more. There we are. Put that in stream highlights post. Right. Let's focus on the race. Anyways, let's do some fun, boring Miami facts underneath the safety car. Amy Hoxer being very smart, serving her penalty under safety car, whacking on, set hards. Could she make them last? I don't know. But a lot of. The back 8, the back 4, 5, I don't know. Anyways, so, some boring Miami facts for everybody. As I was saying, home of the Everglades, Florida. Probably one of the wettest parts of the world. Very interesting. If you do travel there, go and check it out. Now, bit of a TV fact. They only did very minimal filming down in Miami. As I said, it's a hub for Latin America, and the temporary track, which is built around the Hard Rock Stadium. I don't know if you've ever been to a Hard Rock cafe, but it's very mediocre food. But on my notes I said, but will it be mediocre racing? So far, it is anything but that. But we are gearing up for the safety car restart. Red Bull will be bunching that pack up, and he will be waiting to catch the rest of the grid off, because there will be some very, very hungry drivers, particularly the man in number 2, Slayer. The grid did shape up a little bit, as I wasn't paying attention, sorting streams out so people can watch it. That's a mistake on my part, but Red Bull gets going before the hairpin. Very, very interesting, but it seems to have caught the drivers off. Can anybody make positions up from this safety car restart? I can name one person who probably can, and it's down in 11th. Milster, very, very close to the back of Rendog, pulling it back just a tiny little bit. It's riding ball with Amy for a little bit, because I feel like her start could be very interesting. Already over the back of the Ferrari of Big Boar. Already overtaking Big Boar. She'll have the Williams of Yan in her sights right now. Milster all over the back of Rendog, but even closer is Hijab, who will be, I imagine, full deploy going down the back straight. Can he make a move? No, he can't. Slayer on the back of Red Bull. Edin clinging on. The Mercedes looking to be in very, very good form today, as well as the 2 Haas cars. A reigning champion, without a doubt, who looks like he's changed his lid to match the colour scheme of that Haas car, will be on a bit of a charge. Following from, we've got Hijab, SLR, Amy Hoxer, no, Dedic, Amy Hoxer, Jan, Big Ball, Bagstappen. It's telling me there's a caution, but there's not. Edin, 130.1, the fastest lap in the race so far. Amy, with 130.0, fastest lap of the race so far. The Mercedes are on top form today. Edin sticking with the front runners. Keeping the car very, very tidy through that first sector. I wonder if he can make a move on Red Bull, and it's almost like there was a bit of commentator's curse there, because he is going to have the DRS on the back of Red Bull, and he is close enough to make a move, I'd imagine. So he's going to have that rear wing open, but he's not going to be deploying. He is going to be biding his time. Imagine just to get close enough to stick to the back of him to deploy going down this back straight. It's also going to have the DRS on, or is he? Perhaps I'm getting 2 ahead of myself right now. Let's see who stopped. A lot of people on the hard tyres, everybody stopped. What am I kidding? Let's see, that rear wing flap is going to open. Stay at very low on battery. Can Edin close that gap up enough? Again, he's just biding his time. Milster, however, working at closing that gap up. But it looks like Rendog's going with him. But look at that. Amy and Hijab making a move on SLR in the same corner at the same time. Dedic looking to make a move on him. He's got that rear wing flap open. He's going to try and go around the outside, and he does do it very, very cleanly. Is he going to cut round? No, he's not. Very, very clean racing there. We're going to have a moment of silence for the two McLarens that we lost racing today, tragically. Victims of racing. Of course, it's F1, so it's not pure racing. So yeah, if it's got DRS, I don't want any part of it. Don't know if you guys have watched W Series, but that's pretty good racing. That's not a dig at feminism, by the way. Power to women. Let's see, Edin all over the back of Slayer. I imagine he'll be wanting to make a move going into this corner, and he does. Can he make it stick? Is Slayer going to look for the switchback? No, he is not. But both of them recharge lights are on. Let's take away that telemetry now. Amy on the charge again, free of penalties. Got a lot of time to make up, but can she sniff out a podium position? She's got quite a few laps to try and make that happen. Sorry about that. That's the beer. Anyways, let's ride on board with Slayer, who will be looking to clap back on Edin, who is on the hard compound tyres, and he is on the mediums. Is he going to look to make a move into this corner? No, he's not. He's going to be patient. But the man to look out for is Milster. Milster, oh, closing that gap in just a little bit. I've done my best imitation of Jan then. Let's see how this battle for that P2 spot shapes up to be, but I won't want to get too impatient because they want to be chasing the win, really, don't they? But is Slayer going to look to make a move, or is he just going to look to close up that gap? Detection for that first DRS straight on the main straight. Is he going to be brave enough to make a move going into this corner? Let's ride on board with him, but he's not quite close enough. He's going to have to wait until that next straight, unless his medium compound tyres are starting to die off just a little bit and that hard compound is coming to life. Let's have a look at these gaps. Milster made the move, and Rendog very, very close to the back of Slayer. Let's ride on board and watch this battle with him. Another one to look out for is Amy, who is just arriving to the back end of Rendog, so I'm sure she'll be looking to make a move. PDQ. This is shaping up to be quite a battle for that P2 position. Red Bull running away with it a little bit. As long as he keeps it clean, he can make this his race win. Be interesting to see what drivers opt for another stop and what drivers come in for a second one. But Milster very, very nicely making a move on Slayer. But can Slayer answer back on this start-finish straight? Jan, with another 3 seconds worth of time penalties, he's not having a very good race. Verstappen just about holding on to the back of the pack. can Slayer answer back? I'm going to say no. He's losing a lot of time through that middle sector, but Mills may be pushing. Push to get that DRS on Eden, close that gap up to him, hip him off at P2, and then try and cling on to the back of your teammate to increase that gap. Amy, having made that move on Rendog, I'm missing so much action tonight. But let's ride on board first for a little bit, because it does not look like there's going to be any moves made anytime soon. So, it'll be very interesting to see what she can do to close up to the back of Slayer. She's on the hard compound tyre, Slayer is on the medium compound tyre, which looks like just falling off a little bit now. So she's on the right tyre to be making up these positions. Bear in mind, just a few laps ago, she was down in 10th. .2 seconds now from 1.4. Can she close it up on the exit? She can. 1.2, 1.1. She is going to have DRS. Again, I've missed another move. What am I doing tonight? Milster making the move on Eden, presumably in that first corner. I didn't think that was going to happen so soon, but can Eden answer back going onto this next DRS straight? He just needs to stick with him through this horrible, dirty air. Amy picking up a 3-second time penalty, quite sloppy from the British driver there, but I have got no doubt she can still make her imprint on the race. Eden now, let's see what he can do. Mills running away with it a little bit, but he's still going to have that DRS, and he's going to have that DRS and a tiny little bit of deploy to close him up to the back, but Eden won't be looking to make a move here. Will be looking to make the move in one of the next 2 DRS zones, providing he can stick to the back of Milster. Let's see, any other on-track action? Slayer. Oh my god, I'm missing it all tonight. Amy making a move on Slayer, who I am now quite comfortable to say that their medium compound tyres are dying. Very, very quickly arriving to the back of Eden. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm going to stick here for a bit. I'm going to try and keep an eye on these gaps, because I'm not doing a very good job of it right now. I'm missing a lot of the action. But can Eden answer back on this start-finish straight? No, he cannot. Amy 1.5, Slayer 1.6, who is now leaving the battle for P2. But I'm sure in a minute we're going to have a second round of pit stops for them medium runners, but perhaps them hard compound runners will be looking to extend the tyres until M. Milster picking up 3 seconds worth of time penalties. I think in the next few laps we're going to see a lot of track limit penalties. Rolling in as the drivers start to get to their last warnings, because they're just push. Anyways, Eden close to the back of Mills. Amy getting closer to the back of Eden. Will she try and interfere, or will she try and let the man in Mercedes do his job? Rendell closing up to the back of Slayer, just a tiny little bit there. Looking at gaps, nothing to be too worried about yet, but that could be quite an interesting predicament. Amy properly closing up that gap now. Gaining a lot of time for that middle sector. As I said in qualifying, there's plenty of time to close that gap up. Let's see, I think it's very, very probable we're going to see a move made on Eden by Amy this lap, who is getting closer and closer and closer to the back of that Mercedes, but he will have the benefit of the clean air. As you can see, a little bit of blistering on that front right tyre, if you're watching on the right device. Let's see, Edin's got just as much blistering. Is he just going to yield for a teammate? Yes, he is. Edin, a very, very good teammate to have, who is very much a team player. He puts team's interest. Now, let's see. 1.1 seconds to the back of Milster. Can she make anything of that gap? I'm sure she probably can already. Looking like she's going to have that DRS down the next straight, but I don't think she is. She's not quite close enough. Edin coming in for his second stop. Let's watch a pretty pit stop, but more interestingly, that's a very interesting strategy. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, Red Bull boys. Rennie going on to the softs for 11 laps. Could he still be wanting to make another stop? Very, very interesting strategy there. And actually, I've just realised... No, they're not. I thought everybody's helmets was the same from that. But there we are. Right. Amy. All over the back of Mills. Going on to this long straight here. Can she make a move? Mills, full deploy, but she will be full deploy. She'll get that rear wing flap open. She'll be hoping to maybe make a move going into this hairpin. How cleanly can it be done? They are running alongside. Very, very tight, but Milster just getting that edge, but she cuts back. She's going into the pits for a third stop. Speeding in the pit lane again. Poor woman. But that will make Mills feel a bit more comfortable going on to that medium compound tyre. She can probably make up that 10-second time penalty, which I believe turns into a 20 if you don't serve it in the race. So she will have a lot of work to do now. Hijab running in P3, having a very good race, looking like he will run away with that championship lead just a little bit more, because none of us, apart from Red Bull, have been able to answer tonight. Red Bull will be closing that gap up. We'll have a few drivers in the 40s and a few drivers in the 50s now, pulling their gap away from the rest of the field in the Drivers' Championship. We've got 10 laps left of this race, and what a race it has been so far. Now we're going to have a moment of silence, but Edin on the fresh hards on the back of Amy, but I presume they've probably switched positions there. Again, I don't know what's up with me tonight. I'm missing quite a bit of the action, but nevertheless, at least you're able to watch the race back. Hijab in for his stop, 12 lap old. Hard tyres, will he go on? No, he goes on to a set of mediums with Edin with the fastest lap of race from 29.7. Slayer getting up on Hijab, but Hijab has got the advantage. Rennie going past, but Hijab has also got the advantage on them brand new hard tyres. SLR onto the hards, Dedic onto the hards, Big Bore onto the hards. A few slightly worn setups of the hards, perhaps from the race start there. That would be my guess, perhaps. For the rest, they just stopped early, and again, I missed that. Red Bull and Mills having quite a comfortable gap to the guys and girls in third and fourth. Will they be looking to make another stop, or will he hope that they cannot find 20 seconds in 10 laps. I don't know what the tyre deficit is around Miami, but it's a tight technical track, so I imagine there's probably a lot of benefit being on fresher tyres when he does come into the pit lane this lap. Will Milster follow suit? They've got a big enough gap to do the double stacker, which is, and they are going for a double stack, which is probably one of my favourite moves in Formula 1. Look at that. 77 car of Red Bull coming out. Now, very quickly, going back in, very slow from the Haas mechanics there, but let's see, is it enough for Amy? It is not enough for Amy to close up her gap to Red Bull, but if Edin stays on to the back of her, it could be enough for Edin to just clinch that victory if he can stay on to the back of Amy. Let's see what happens in the next 8 laps. Not as many drivers as I thought there would be with the time penalty tonight, but Amy conceding to Edin, letting him have that fresh air, or is she wanting the DRS? I do not know. Rendog retiring. That looks like after his strategy proved to not work. I just think that was a bit interesting, trying the soft compound tyres for 9 laps, but it's giving Verstappen the position advantage in the championship, who we're riding on board with now, might I add. That Alpine car looking very, very good as normal. The blue and pink livery, some people love, some people hate. I'm in the middle, I think it just looks good. Anyways, Jan running in P10, he will be lucky to take home a point tonight. Big Bore, P9. The grid quite nicely separated now, seeing some nice gaps form between everybody, meaning that this race is now settled. So perhaps it's time for a nap, ladies and gentlemen, because these last closing laps I might struggle for things to talk about, but we never know. We could have a late race safety car. A driver might feel like causing a bit of carnage. Please don't do that. Red Bull absolutely storming off. Jan picking up another 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Not the day to be him. Not that day particularly to be Amy with 10-second time penalty she's carrying. But Red Bull looking very, very comfortable on their medium compound tyres, but they will wear out heading into the final laps, which might give Edin the chance to answer a little bit. But Red Bull does go fastest on 29.7. Doesn't look like there are going to be any moves made too soon, but Milster going 29.5. He is on the charge. He'll be looking to make a move on Slayer before the end of the race. Might Amy and Edin swap positions going into this straight so she can start to build up a bit of a gap? See if Edin wants to play that team game to build that 10-second gap. She's running out of laps to do it in. She's having a good run on Edin. That rear wing flap's going to open. Edin's just going to move over nicely to the side. I think that is the way the Mercedes are going to play it. Milster 1.6 seconds away from Slayer. Let's see. That probably looks like the most interesting battle right now. Is he going to be able to close up enough? He'll have a huge grip advantage going through his middle sector. It's just so dependent on the mechanical grip of the car. 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. Fluctuating like a madman, but he will be harvesting in that middle sector. Is he going to get close enough? I imagine he will get close enough to make a move in the next few laps, but Can he draw out a gap big enough for his 3-second time penalty? 0.8 seconds. He is on a bit of a push. It's looking like he might even make a move this lap for all we know. Amy on the chase, not for the race win, but to try and put out some time ahead. See if Eden can stick with her and call it a good race result for the Mercedes today. I would say he's just run a bit squiffy running through there, but again, it's my Wi-Fi. Getting into the closing stage of this race now. Milster, he is going to have the DRS on Slayer, but not necessarily the place to make a move on this straight, but it is the place to get closer to the first unifying overtake, which sets you up beautifully for the middle sector, providing you can carry that grip through for that back straight, which is probably the best place to make a move in the circuit, because yeah, there's no room for overtaking here. But we did see an ambitious move by Hayes getting onto his positions. Eddie and Amy swapping again. That is just purely a team game, I'd say. So not too much worth focusing on. They're just keeping it clean to score as many points as they can. But Mills getting closer and closer and closer to the back of that Red Bull. That rear wing flap will be open. He will be deploying. Is he going to make a move? No, he's not. He's going to bide his time. But Slayer runs a little bit deep. But no moves will be made for a few more corners, I imagine. Let's see what the rest of the field are up to. SLR. From Mills, we have Hijab, SOR, Dedic, Big Ball, Yan, Slayer pick up 3-second time penalty, which has suddenly made this race become for position between Mills and Slayer. So this battle has just become a lot more interesting. It may become a lot more fierce. They've got plenty of time to have a battle, but Hijab might be looking to make a little bit of a charge to close up that gap for some extra points. And Mills does go to make a move very cleanly down the inside. They're going to go alongside. Let's ride on board with Slayer. Could Slayer possibly answer back going on to this back straight? You can hear the brakes heating up there. Recharge lights are on, but Mills will have that grip advantage for just another few laps before the maybe start fall off. He's got 0.8 second gap and he has got clean air in front of him now, which he will be very excited about, which means the current reigning world champion can do what he does best, and that is put a gap out from the rest. Who's that just diving into the pit? So that is Amy Hoxer coming in to serve her 10-second penalty, I imagine. I doubt she's going to retire, but she is going to go on to settle soft. She could make this quite interesting. We have got 3 laps to see what she can do. I think this is just damage limitations now, but Eden has got very comfortable gap to Milster. Slayer falling back behind from Milster. Now 1.3 seconds, he is firmly out of DRS, so then that hard compound tyre just falling off just a tiny little bit. He'll be quite unhappy about his tyre strategy tonight, I imagine. But Hijab be speeding up just a little bit. He's going to find 3 seconds in the next few laps. I'm not saying he can't do it. It's all possible. Amy though still carrying a 3-second time penalty for track limits, but she could push her way back up into 7th quite comfortably, I imagine. Probably a race to forget for her. What's happening? Not yet. We have got 3 laps left of this race. As the grid has settled down, Miami is doing what it does best, and that is being dull. Um, looks like a nice track on paper, but a bit like all modern F1 tracks, no good for racing. Red Bull very much in a league of his own. He has controlled this race pretty much from start to finish. Following on from that, we have Eden, who's 7 seconds away from now, who has had a very, very good race and probably my contender for driver of the day. Milster. Growing that gap from Slayer. Then we have Hijab, SOR, Dedic, the man, the new boy, the new results. Amy on a bit of a charge, trying to close up that gap to Dedic, trying to take P7. That could shape up to be quite an interesting battle. Big Ball, P9, solid points for the Ferrari drivers tonight. Following on from we have Jan with quite a few penalties. Will it be enough to cover off Bagstappen, who I'm sure will be trying his absolute best to push through? We have got 2 laps on the clock to go. Running out of time, running out of things to talk about as well. But next week we will have professional commentator Amy Hoxer, fasted 28-1. Yeah, very kindly finding some new commentator to have full time from next week. So the commentary will be a bit different, and I will be on the grid again. Thank goodness for that as well, because I've missed being in the action for about a week now, 2 weeks. I've missed 2 rounds. I've got some work to do in the championship, anyways, Red Bull just about to enter the final lap. I don't think Eden will have an answer to Red Bull unless he loses up and finds his way into the barrier for the last lap. Amy Hoxer being overtaken by Big Ball. She is going slow. Jan sliding his way through, but she has got a DRS, so I imagine she just made a bit of a mistake, but not able to hold on to P10, but she will have the DRS going into this next straight. Jan keeping it nice and squiggly. A little bit wide going out of that corner, which is very important you don't. I'm sure she will make a move on him. Right now, look at the two of them. They are absolutely flying. Jan will be sticking out his elbows to defend. She's staying absolutely glued to him, pushing him almost. Closer, 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 she says. I need you behind Big Four. I want to make my way up to P8, but I'm sure Jan. A lot of contact, pushing. That is very, very sloppy driving there. I don't know whether I like that or not. Jan, I thought he was going to concede then, but going very slow through that. Probably just a little bit out of frustration from all of that contact from behind. That is something that's probably going to be flagged to our steward. Next race, that's some very desperate racecraft there, but all eyes on the man from the hour who's had a few average races, and he crosses the line to take P1. Red Bull is back in business, ladies and gentlemen. Closing that gap up in the Drivers' Championship. It's now exciting. Following on from that, we have Eden, who's going to be very happy with his P2 tonight. Milster, who took Slayer. Slayer, average high strategy tonight, but what a drive from the man. Following on from that, we have Hijab, who closed up that gap just a little bit. Following on from Hijab, we have got Simon, but Dedit is all over the back of Simon. Is something going to happen here? No, it is not. But that was very, very good driving from the two of them. But Jan and Amy tussling on the last. A lot of blocking there. That is audacious. Absolutely audacious. Amy stopping on track. I can't believe what I've just seen. That was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Jan coming home to take P9, and probably I'd say a well-deserved one after that. what I've just seen. Bagstappen going slow, going slow. Is he going to pit Amy off in time? Yes, yes, he is. Amy conceding down to P11 because she probably knows what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today for round 4 Miami. That was quite a good race. Sorry for the cutout in between, but let's run through our top 10 just very quickly again momentarily after we've seen the podium celebrations. Race winner, we have Red Bull, fastest lap, Amy. Driver of the day, Amy. Following on our top 10, we have got Red Bull P1, Edin 2, Milster 3, Slayer 4th, Hijab 5th, SLR 6th, Dedic 7th, New Boy making quite an impression, Big Bull 8th, Jan 9th, Bagstappen 10th, scoring his first points. In 11th, we've got Amy Hoxer with 1:28.1, fastest lap of the race. And following on from that, we've got Rendog in the Red Bull and the two McLaren boys having a bad race. Thank you very much for joining me in this broadcast. RIP Latifi.